This video was made in collaboration with Narutopedia. For more information, check out the link in the description. The Life of Sakura Haruno from Naruto. Sakura Uchiha is a kunoichi of Konohagakure. When assigned to Team 7, Sakura quickly finds herself ill-prepared for the duties of a shinobi. However, after training under the Sannin Tsunade, she overcomes this and becomes recognized as one of the greatest medical-nin in the world. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Sakura Haruno. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Background. Sakura is the only child of Mizuki and Kazekage Haruno. She had an ordinary childhood, raised by her parents without any serious tragedy or complications, unlike her team members. When she entered Konoha's academy, a few of the girls in her class started picking on her because of her broad forehead. Sakura tried to combat their teasing by hiding her forehead with her bangs, but this proved to the other girls that it bothered her and caused them to tease her even more. Ino Yamanaka, one of her classmates, saw this and defended Sakura from her bullies and encouraged her to embrace her forehead rather than hide it. Over the following years, Ino's guidance and friendship helped Sakura become more comfortable with herself and develop into her own person. Though she felt indebted to Ino for helping her, Sakura began to feel that she was living in Ino's shadow when she, instead, wanted to be Ino's equal. At some point after she entered the academy, Sakura met Sasuke Uchiha and she developed a crush on him. When she told her friends, she was surprised to learn how popular Sasuke was with the girls. Sakura heard a rumor of Sasuke being attracted to girls with long hair, and she began letting her hair grow to get his attention. A couple of years later, when she learned Ino had a crush on Sasuke, Sakura ended their friendship so they could compete for Sasuke's love, thus beginning a bitter rivalry between them. After they were placed in their teams, Sakura approached Ino, telling her of her liking towards Sasuke. Ino revealed that she too had feelings towards him. Sakura took it to end their friendship, starting their dislike towards each other in the beginning of the series. Prologue, Land of Waves. Upon graduating from the academy and being assigned to Team 7, Sakura is initially devastated when she learns that Naruto Uzumaki is to be one of her teammates. She's then immediately afterwards ecstatic to learn that Sasuke Uchiha is to be her other teammate. She tries to bond with Sasuke by stating her envy of Naruto's lack of parents, but this only offends Sasuke, who tells her that she's annoying. Sakura is hurt, and on realizing that she says similar things to Naruto, decides to try to be nicer to him. Team 7's leader, Kakashi Hatake, tests their qualifications with a bell test, stating that whichever of the three of them takes one of the two bells on his person will officially become Genin. While Naruto busies himself attacking Kakashi, Sakura seeks out Sasuke to see if she can help him. Kakashi finds her during her search and defeats her with an illusion of Sasuke dying. Likewise, Naruto and Sasuke are also defeated. Kakashi explains afterwards that the goal of the test was to use teamwork, to do together what none of them could do by themselves. He's persuaded to allow them to try again after lunch, but instructs Sasuke and Sakura not to feed Naruto. Sasuke feeds him anyway, needing him in top form if they're to work together, and Sakura does the same. Kakashi sees this, and because they care more about the team than listening to his instructions, allows them all to pass. After a series of uneventful D-rank missions, Naruto is able to secure a C-rank mission for Team 7. Escorting Tazuna to the Land of Waves. Soon after leaving Konoha, they are attacked by the Demon Brothers, who go after Tazuna. Sakura immediately places herself in front of Tazuna to protect him and stands her ground until Kakashi captures the brothers. Tazuna confesses that the assassins have been hired to kill him, but that he couldn't afford the bodyguard detail he needs. Although the mission is now A rank in nature, far beyond the skill of a Genin, Team 7 decides to continue with it. When they reach the Land of Waves and are attacked by Zabuza Momochi, Sakura once again protects Tazuna while Kakashi and later Naruto and Sasuke fight Zabuza. Zabuza is ultimately seemingly killed by Haku, allowing Team 7 to escort Tazuna back to his house. Kakashi finds Zabuza's death suspicious and decides to train the team in case he returns. He has them perform the tree climbing practice in order to improve their chakra control, which will help them against Zabuza. Sakura masters the exercise on her first try, thus leaving her in charge of protecting Tazuna while Naruto and Sasuke train and Kakashi recovers from his fight with Zabuza. After a week, the rest of the team joins her, but when they reach the bridge that Tazuna's been working on, they find Zabuza and Haku waiting for them. Sasuke and later Naruto fight Haku while Kakashi fights Zabuza, once again leaving Sakura in charge of protecting Tazuna. The thick mist prevents her from seeing how the fight against Haku is going, so she's surprised when Haku suddenly interferes in Kakashi's fight with Zabuza and is killed. When Naruto comes looking for Haku, Sakura asks him where Sasuke is. When Naruto refuses to respond, Sakura becomes worried, but stays put because she cannot leave Tazuna's side. When Tazuna offers to come over with her, she quickly leads him to where Sasuke is and finds him seemingly dead. Overcome with emotion, Sakura knowingly violates the Shinobi rules and cries for him. When Sasuke later wakes up, Sakura embraces him, explains that Haku had been killed, and shares the news of Sasuke's survival with Naruto. Zabuza also dies, allowing Team 7 to return to Konoha when their injuries heal via Tezuna's newly constructed Great Naruto Bridge. Chūnin Exams. Team 7 resumes its series of unremarkable missions. After returning from one mission, Sakura tries to spend some time with Sasuke, who rejects her. This places Sakura in a bad mood, causing her to lash out first at Naruto when he suggests to Konohamaru Sarutobi that he and Sakura are dating, and then at Konohamaru when he insults her for harming Naruto. This all attracts the attention of Sunagakure's 3 Sand siblings, who have come to Konoha to take part in the Chūnin Exams. Sasuke returns and drives these Sand siblings off, and later Kakashi meets with them to enter them in the Chūnin Exams as well. He neglects to mention that they must enter as a team, worried that Sakura might only participate because of Sasuke, and so is glad when she independently decides to participate. Before the Chūnin Exams begin, Sakura is met by Rock Lee, who asks her to go out with him and offers to protect her with his life. Sakura flatly refuses, being bothered by his eyelashes, hairstyle, and thick eyebrows. For the Chūnin Exams first stage, the participating genin are given a written test with 10 questions. From looking over the questions, Sakura realizes that the questions are too complicated for most genin, especially Naruto, to be able to answer without cheating. Sakura herself is able to answer the first 9 questions on her own. Before being given the 10th question, genin are warned that if they answer it incorrectly, they will never be allowed to take the Chūnin Exams again. Sakura becomes worried that Naruto is too proud to not try to answer the question, and that when he inevitably gives the wrong answer, his disqualification will ruin his dreams of becoming Hokage. She prepares to forfeit on his behalf, but Naruto insists on answering the 10th question no matter what, causing her to change her mind. For their willingness to face the 10th question despite the potential consequences, Team 7 and the remaining genin pass to the second stage. For the second stage, teams enter the Forest of Death for a 5-day survival challenge. Shortly after the second stage begins, Team 7 is attacked by Orochimaru, who Sasuke and Sakura, sensing his killing intent, realize is far too strong for them to fight. Sasuke tries to surrender in exchange for their lives, but Naruto insists on fighting Orochimaru anyway. Both Sasuke and Sakura are surprised by how well Naruto does, although he is ultimately defeated and knocked unconscious. Sakura pins him to a tree with a kunai to stop him from falling, and observes to Sasuke that Naruto, despite all his shortcomings, isn't a coward. This convinces Sasuke to fight Orochimaru as well. Orochimaru becomes impressed by Sasuke, and before he leaves, he brands Sasuke with a cursed seal of heaven, rendering him unconscious as well. Sakura moves Naruto and Sasuke to a secluded area where she watches over them through the night. In the morning, they're tracked down by Team Dosu, Orochimaru's underlings who have instructions to kill Sasuke. They bypass the booby traps she laid earlier and move in on her, but she's saved by Rock Lee. Lee fights Team Dosu by himself, planning to make good on his earlier promise to protect her, but is eventually defeated. Sakura begins attacking Team Dosu herself, but she is restrained by Kintsuchi, who grabs her by the hair and berates her for how much time she clearly spends on it. Determined to not keep needing the help of others, and motivated by Naruto and Sasuke, Sakura cuts her hair to free herself and starts attacking, persevering despite Zaku Abumi's many counterattacks. Sakura's courage convinces the observing Ino Yamanaka and the rest of Team 10 to come to her defense. Team 10 fights Team Dosu until they're interrupted by Sasuke, imbued with the power of his cursed seal. When he sees Sakura's injuries, Sasuke breaks Zaku's arms in punishment and threatens to do the same to the rest of them. Sakura is horrified by his actions and embraces him, begging him to stop. Sasuke's curse seal recedes and he complies. Team Dosu retreats, and Teams 7, 10, and Lee's Team Guy regroup. When Naruto wakes up, he makes fun of Lee's eyebrows, prompting Sakura to strike him. Before they go their separate ways, Lee vows to Sakura that he will become stronger. Team 7 spends several days recuperating from their ordeal, but they are able to reach the center of the forest in time to advance to the Chūnin Exams preliminaries, a series of one-on-one qualifying matches. Sakura tries to convince Sasuke not to participate because of his cursed seal, but he ignores her, insisting that it's his business and not hers. For her match, Sakura is paired against Ino. They start by trading insults and then punches, surprising Ino because Sakura proves her equal in both categories. Frustrated, Ino follows Sakura's earlier example by cutting her hair, a ruse that allows her to immobilize Sakura while she uses her mind-body switch technique. In control of Sakura's body, Ino tries to make her forfeit the match, but she's stopped and exorcised by inner Sakura, due to both having used up all their chakra, but exchange one final blow, knocking both out. When Sakura wakes up, Ino informs her that their match was ruled a tie, and that therefore neither of them will continue to the final rounds. Despite this, they decide to rekindle their friendship, though can't help but continue to bicker about Sasuke. Sakura watches the remaining matches, including Lee's match with Gaara, during which Lee loses and is badly injured. A few days later, Sakura visits the hospital to see Sasuke, but discovers he's already been taken away by Kakashi. While she's there, she sees Lee training despite his injuries, causing him to fall unconscious as a consequence. She leaves the flower she bought for Sasuke with him instead. Sakura worries about Sasuke over the following month, especially when he's missing for his match with Gaara during the finals. He finally does show up, late, and Sakura watches with interest. Konoha Crush. Sasuke's match is interrupted by an invasion of Konoha, and a genjutsu descends upon the stadium where the finals are being held, putting most of the audience to sleep. Sakura is able to dispel the genjutsu, attracting the attention of the invading Ōtsutsuki forces. She's saved by Kakashi, who instructs her to wake up Naruto and Shikamaru Nara. She does so, though Shikamaru was only pretending to be asleep, and when they're assembled, Kakashi sends them in Pakun after Sasuke, who's pursuing Gaara. Ōto-nin start following them, so Shikamaru falls behind to delay them. Naruto and Sakura catch up with Sasuke in time to save him from one of Gaara's attacks. When Gaara sees Sakura's determination to defend Sasuke, he knocks her unconscious and binds her to a tree. Her bindings dissolve when Gaara is defeated, which Sakura assumes she has Sasuke to thank for. Sasuke corrects her when they get back to Konoha, explaining that it was Naruto who saved her. A few days later, Team 7 attends the 3rd Hokage's funeral. Land of Tea Escort Mission. In the anime, Team 7 is sent to the Land of Tea to protect Idate Marino as he runs a race. When Team Oboro and later Aoi Rokusho try to stop Idate, Naruto and Sasuke fight them while Sakura remains alert for opportunities for Idate to run to safety. Sasuke is eventually knocked out by Aoi, and Sakura looks after him until Aoi is defeated by Naruto. After Idate wins the race, Team 7 returns to Konoha. Sasuke Recovery Mission. Sakura visits Sasuke every day while he's in the hospital, tearfully hugging him once he finally regains consciousness. She continues looking after him until he recovers, but he repels her kindness, angered by his earlier defeat by his brother, Itachi Uchiha. When Naruto comes to see him, Sasuke challenges him to a fight, which Naruto agrees to over Sakura's protests. She watches as they exchange attacks on the hospital roof, but decides she can't let things continue when Sasuke prepares a Chidori and Naruto prepares a Rasengan. She runs between them to stop them, but neither is able to pull away in time. Kakashi appears and flings them apart, saving Sakura. Sasuke storms off, and Kakashi, before he follows, promises Sakura that he'll set things right. Sakura takes Naruto aside afterwards and tells him about the cursed seal Sasuke received from Orochimaru, which she'd until now kept from him at Sasuke's request. She shares her concerns that Orochimaru is trying to tempt Sasuke to defect from Konoha, but Naruto assures her that Sasuke would never do that. This comforts her at the time, but she continues to worry and, at night, waits at the village's exit. Sasuke eventually approaches with his belongings, confirming her fears. Sasuke tells her to go home, but Sakura refuses, instead asking why he always pushes her away, and reminding him of all the good times Team 7 has had. She tries to persuade him to stay so she won't be alone, but when that doesn't work, argues that his revenge against Itachi isn't worth it. When Sasuke remains determined to go, Sakura tells him she loves him and offers to go with him. Sasuke tells her that she's annoying, just as he did after Team 7's formation. Sakura threatens to scream for help, so he knocks her out. However, before he does it, he thanks her. Sakura is found on a bench the next morning, and when she wakes up, she sends word to Tsunade, the new Hokage, that Sasuke has defected. The Sasuke recovery team is formed to go after him, which Sakura approaches as they prepare to set out from Konoha. Sakura begs Naruto to bring Sasuke back to Konoha, believing that he is the only person who can get through to him at this point. Naruto vows to do so, even if it takes his entire life, and Sakura cries at his dedication to her. Despite his promise, Naruto is unable to bring Sasuke back. Sakura visits him in the hospital, and after trying to avoid the subject, tells him that she won't hold him to his word. Naruto, however, refuses to go back on what he said. Touched, Sakura apologizes to Naruto for what he's gone through and promises to help him personally bring back Sasuke next time. Land of Rice Fields Investigation Mission. In the anime, Sakura accompanies Naruto and Jiraiya to the Land of Rice Fields to investigate one of Orochimaru's lairs and potentially retrieve Sasuke. The mission ends in failure. When they get back to Konoha, Sakura, as in the manga, asks to become Tsunade's apprentice so she can better meet the challenges she'll face in the future. Tsunade accepts. Mizuki Tracking Mission. In the anime, Sakura focuses on her training, preventing her from helping Naruto with many of the missions he goes away on. When he returns from one such mission, she informs him that she's succeeded in healing a fish. Mix it, stretch it, boil it up, burn, copper pot, burn. In the anime, Sakura helps Naruto and Choji Akamichi rescue Ayame. To save her from the cooking nin, they must prepare the perfect ramen. Sakura contributes by pounding the dough of the noodles into shape. Konoha plans recapture mission. In the anime, Sakura and Ino examine a corpse believed to be that of Geno. They conclude that it's not actually him. Yakumo Kurama rescue mission. In the anime, Sakura helps Naruto protect Yakumo Kurama from the Kurama clan. When Kurenai Yuhi is injured during the fight, Sakura heals her wounds. Gantetsu escort mission. In the anime, Sakura, Naruto, and Lee guard Gantetsu as he's transferred to prison. Sunagakure support mission. In the anime, Sakura and the rest of the Konoha 11 are sent to Sunagakure to help the Sand siblings in their fight with the 4 Celestial Symbols men. Sakura heals Gaara during his fight with Suiko. Ino, jealous of Sakura's newfound healing abilities, asks to train with Sakura to be a medical-nin. Sakura agrees, but Ino is dismayed when Sakura reminds her that she will be her junior during the course of their training. In Naruto's footsteps, the Friends' paths. In the anime, about 2 years after Naruto leaves Konoha to train, another Chūnin exam is held. Because the participants must enter as part of 3-man teams, Ino invites Sakura to be Shikamaru's replacement on Team 10, since Shikamaru is already a Chūnin. During the first exam, Sakura, Ino, and Choji are seated in different rooms and are tasked with getting a combined score of exactly 100 points on their written test despite their separation. Ino telepathically contacts Sakura and Choji in order to assign them which questions to answer. After the initial testing period is over, they're given a bonus question. Each team must unanimously select one of their members to disqualify from the rest of the exams. Team 10 selects nobody, which is the correct answer, and which qualifies them for the next phase. Those who pass the first exam must reach the Demon Desert within 3 days in order to participate in the second exam. Team 10 successfully does so, and they're given the same objective as they had in the exam several years ago: obtain a scroll from another team. They wander through the desert for 3 days, losing their provisions to an Ame team. While recuperating at an oasis, they're attacked by Team Ameno. Ino once again telepathically links with Sakura and Choji to coordinate their attacks and help them locate their attackers, resulting in the other team's defeat. Once Sakura and Ino heal their injuries, the other team offers them their scroll. However, theirs is the same scroll that Team 10 already has, so they're allowed to keep it. They go their separate ways, agreeing to meet again in the third exam. Team 10 is later attacked by Team Saya. Saya possesses Ino's mind and forces her to attack Sakura. When Choji, meanwhile, begins overwhelming Saya's teammates, Saya possesses his mind instead, and she forces him to attack Sakura using his super multi-size technique. Ino is able to release Choji, forcing Team Saya to retreat. Team 10 is afterwards trapped in a sandstorm, during which Ino and Choji are poisoned by a cloaked Mamushi. Sakura escapes the sandstorm, defeats Saya, and then returns to heal Ino and Choji. Team 10 is eventually found by one of the exam's proctors, who brings them to where all the other Genin are being assembled. They're informed that the Chūnin exams have been cancelled. Reports on the participants' performances will be sent back to their villages, leaving their promotion up to their superiors. When they get back to Konoha, Tsunade promotes Sakura, Ino, and Choji to Chūnin. Kazekage rescue mission. Tsunade informs Sakura of Naruto's return after 2.5 years of training. She goes to greet him and is initially glad that he's back, but is quickly disappointed when he gets back into a competition of sexy techniques with Konohamaru Sarutobi. Kakashi reforms Team 7 with them and gives them another bell test. Unlike last time, taking the bells from him is the real objective. Kakashi vanishes shortly after the test begins, and Sakura, after determining that he's nowhere above ground, concludes that he's below ground. To force him out, she shatters the earth with Cherry Blossom Impact, surprising both Kakashi and Naruto. Despite their improved abilities, neither Sakura nor Naruto are able to get a bell through conventional means. And it is only by Naruto's threat to spoil the latest Icha Icha book that they're able to lower Kakashi's guard long enough to take his bells. While Team 7 tries without success to find a mission to go on that Naruto won't complain about, word reaches Konoha that Akatsuki has kidnapped Gaara, the Kazekage. Team 7 is sent to Sunagakure to lend assistance in rescuing Gaara. On their way to Suna, Naruto explains that Gaara was kidnapped because he is the Jinchuriki of the One Tail, just as Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. When they reach Suna, they're informed that Kankuro was poisoned by Akatsuki member Sasori in his failed attempt to rescue Gaara, and that none of the village's medics can heal him. Sakura is able to remove the poison from his body, from which she prepares some antidotes, impressing Chiyo. Chiyo, Sasori's grandmother, ultimately decides to accompany Team 7 as they leave to find Gaara, helping them navigate the local country. On their way to the Akatsuki lair where Gaara has been taken, they're met by Itachi Uchiha, the brother who Sasuke defected from Konoha in order to kill. Although eager to face him, Sakura must leave most of the fighting to Kakashi due to his Sharingan. When Naruto is trapped in Itachi's genjutsu, Sakura and Chiyo release him. The Itachi is eventually discovered to be an imposter, so they continue to the Akatsuki lair. They meet Team Guy there, who takes down the barrier over the entrance so that Team 7 can get in. Deidara flies off with Gaara's body as soon as they enter, and Naruto and Kakashi pursue him, leaving Sasori to Sakura and Chiyo. Chiyo informs Sakura that what appears to be Sasori is actually one of his puppets, Hiruko. She also warns that all of Hiruko's weapons are likely coated with poison. With this in mind, Chiyo guides Sakura to Hiruko unharmed, allowing her to destroy it. With Hiruko gone, Sasori starts using his human puppet of the third Kazekage. Although it initially appears no different from a standard puppet, such that Chiyo is able to fight it with her mother and father puppets, the puppet is discovered to have access to the third's iron sand, which has also been imbued with poison. The iron sand neutralizes the mother and father puppets and then forms into blocks, with Sakura, with Chiyo's guidance again, is able to punch away. Sasori's iron sand world method provides more difficult to avoid, and Sakura receives several scratches, causing her to collapse from the poison. She is able to administer the antidote, however, allowing her to destroy the third when it moves in to finish her off. Angered by this, Sasori reveals that his own body is a puppet now, and he goes after Chiyo. Sakura intercepts him and destroys the body, but he's able to reassemble it. Sasori brings out his 100 puppet army, and Chiyo brings out her 10 puppet collection of Chikamatsu. While the two sides battle, Sakura moves closer to Sasori and places a seal on him. Sasori is able to transfer his living core into another puppet before the seal connects, sneaks up on Chiyo and attacks. Sakura shields the attack with her body and is both fatally wounded and poisoned. When Chiyo gives her the final antidote, Sasori attacks Chiyo again, only to fall into her trap and have his core stabbed by the mother and father puppets. Chiyo then heals Sakura's wound. Having guessed that Sakura was able to create an antidote for his poison, something he thought was impossible, Sasori decides to reward her before he dies. He tells her of a spy within Orochimaru's ranks who he had planned to meet in Kusagakure in 10 days. Chiyo collapses once he's dead, but refuses Sakura's offer to take her back to Suna to make another antidote. At Chiyo's request, Sakura carries her to Naruto and Kakashi, who have managed to retrieve Gaara. Sakura attempts to retrieve Gaara, but the removal of the one tail has caused him to die. Chiyo uses the one's own life reincarnation on him, bringing him back to life at the cost of her own. As the jutsu nears completion, Chiyo warns Sakura not to risk her life to protect someone as old as she is again, believing Sakura is too valuable. Gaara is successfully resurrected, and a few days later, Team 7 and Guy attend Chiyo's funeral in Sunagakure before returning home. Tenchi Bridge Reconnaissance Mission. With the intel gained from Sasori, Team 7 begins planning to meet the spy in the hopes that it'll help them reunite with Sasuke. Kakashi is left bedridden from his fight with Deidara, requiring Yamato to lead Team 7 as his replacement. The Konoha Council also requires that Sai be assigned to Team 7 as Sasuke's replacement. Naruto immediately dislikes Sai, declaring him an inferior version of Sasuke. Sai is happy for this distinction and proceeds to degrade Sasuke for defecting from Konoha. This angers Sakura and she hits him, forcing Yamato to use wood release to break up their fight. Despite this incident, Sakura has difficulty holding a grudge against Sai due to his lack of emotion or interpersonal connections. She therefore tries to mediate between Naruto and Sai, explaining to Sai the brotherly bond that Naruto feels to Sasuke. When this fails to make an impression, Sakura gives up on Sai and puts up with him only because they need his help to find Sasuke. Yamato disguises himself as Sasori and goes to the Tenchi Bridge to meet the spy, while Naruto, Sakura, and Sai hide nearby. The spy, Kabuto Yakushi, begins telling Yamato about Orochimaru's organization, but they're interrupted by the appearance of Orochimaru, who teams up with Kabuto to fight Yamato, having intended to kill Sasori. Team 7 comes to his aid, and Orochimaru, recognizing them, taunts Naruto about Sasuke. Naruto is enraged and strikes him, using the Nine Tails' power to make his attacks more devastating. The Tenchi Bridge starts to collapse from the stress of his chakra, and Sakura is knocked unconscious in the process. She's saved and revived by Yamato, and is then horrified by the damage that Naruto is causing to the surroundings. Orochimaru is eventually able to force Naruto away from himself and closer to Sakura and Yamato. Seeing the lengths he's going to in order to retrieve Sasuke from Orochimaru, Sakura tries to reason with him, but his version 2 form leaves him unable to tell friend from foe and he attacks her. When Yamato restrains Naruto with his wood release, Kabuto heals Sakura's wound, his thanks to Team 7 for killing Sasori. Yamato is able to suppress the Nine Tails' influence, but its chakra leaves his body badly damaged. Sakura heals him, but is upset that it's the only thing she can do to help him. When Naruto wakes up, he can't remember what happened and assumes Sakura's tears are because of something Sai said, which she doesn't correct. After taking a break when Sakura's wound starts hurting, she tells Naruto her wound was caused by Orochimaru. While Sakura works on healing herself, Yamato tells Naruto the truth. When they realize that Sai is missing, Yamato reports that he's joined with Orochimaru and Kabuto. Having placed a trace on Sai, Yamato is able to lead Naruto and Sakura to him, and by extension, Orochimaru's lair. They infiltrate it, locate Sai, and restrain him so they can go looking for Sasuke. Kabuto finds him and releases Sai to help him fight them, but Sai restrains him instead. Curious about the bond that Naruto keeps saying he has with Sasuke, Sai goes searching through Orochimaru's lair in search of Sasuke on Naruto's behalf. When he's gone, Yamato goes through his belongings and finds evidence that Sai has been assigned to assassinate Sasuke. They go after him in order to stop him. When they find him, he explains that he truly does want to help retrieve Sasuke, and in fact has already found him. Sakura and Naruto are speechless to see Sasuke again, but Sasuke reacts with indifference to them. To demonstrate that they all mean nothing to him, Sasuke quickly neutralizes them all, except Sakura, who prepares to attack him. Sasuke is about to counter her attack before Yamato saves her. He then prepares to kill them, but is persuaded not to by Orochimaru, and leaves without further comment. Defeated, a tearful Sakura tells a devastated Naruto they need to get stronger, and Team 7 returns to Konoha. 12 Guardian Ninja. In the anime, Yamato leads Team 7 on a mission to the Fire Temple to investigate a series of grave robberies. During the course of the investigation, Team 7 is separated by an earthen maze. Sakura is attacked within the maze by a giant spider, but she's saved by Sai, whose arm breaks in the process. She tends to this injury while they reunite with Naruto and Yamato, but the grave robbers escape. Team 7 returns to Konoha, and when the grave robbers attack the village, Sakura is drawn into battle with Fuen. Sakura pretends to fall victim to Fuen's genjutsu, allowing her to surprise attack her when she attacks a decoy of her, and end it by smashing her into the ground. Akatsuki Suppression Mission. Kakashi assembles Naruto, Sakura, and Sai to discuss their failed mission to retrieve Sasuke. Sakura shares her suspicion that Sasuke's skills have been boosted with medication, as his growth rate is unnaturally high. Kakashi believes the best way to prepare them for another encounter with Sasuke is for Naruto to invent a new jutsu. Once he finally does, after many days of training, Team 7 is sent to help Team 10 in their battle with Akatsuki. Sakura and Sai are sent to provide backup for Shikamaru Nara during his fight with Hidan, while everyone else focuses on Kakuzu. When they locate Shikamaru, however, they discover he's already defeated Hidan. Naruto elsewhere defeats Kakuzu with his jutsu, after which they go back to Konoha. Naruto's new jutsu injures his arm after use, which Sakura treats in Konoha. Because he has difficulty using the arm while it mends, Sakura tries to help him eat when they visit Ramen Ichiraku, but Sai insists on the responsibility. As they leave afterwards, they're met by Konohamaru, who demonstrates his sexy girl-on-girl technique. In the manga, Konohamaru responds with sexy boy-on-boy technique. Sakura approves, but Naruto is disgusted and violently reprimands him. Sakura tries to make an excuse when she realizes how she reacted, but Konohamaru's suspicions that Sakura is just as much of a pervert as he is are confirmed. However, in the anime, Naruto approves, and Sakura is disgusted and violently reprimands him. Three Tails appearance. In the anime, Team 7 is sent to help Team 8 in their fight with Team Guren. When they come across the Three Tails during the course of the mission, Sakura is assigned to a team responsible for sealing it due to her excellent chakra control. They're interrupted by Team Guren before they can complete the four-corner sealing barrier, and Sakura tends to the wounded after the Three Tails goes on a rampage. When Team Guren is defeated, they are recalled to Konoha. Itachi Pursuit Mission. News reaches Konoha that Sasuke has killed Orochimaru. Realizing this is a good opportunity to try once again to reunite with Sasuke, Kakashi combines Team 7 and 8 into an 8-man squad on the mission to either find Sasuke or his assumed target, Itachi. They split up to look for leads on either Uchiha. Because she doesn't have any particular tracking skills, Kakashi pairs Sakura with two Ninken, Shiba and Bisuke. They briefly pick up on the trail of one of Sasuke's new teammates, Karin, but they don't realize this and lose the trail shortly afterwards. Fated battle between brothers. After they regroup, Kiba Inuzuka is able to detect Sasuke's scent and they start to follow it. Along the way, they're met by Tobi of Akatsuki, who prevents them from progressing and who is invulnerable to their attacks. Tobi leaves when he receives news that Sasuke has killed Itachi, and Teams 7 and 8 try to reach Sasuke before he does. Unable to find where Tobi has taken Sasuke, they are forced to return to Konoha. Six Tails Unleashed. In the anime, they are intercepted by a new assignment to help the Tsuchigumo clan protect its forbidden technique. Kakashi takes Team 8 back to Konoha, while Yamato leads Team 7 on the mission. During the mission, Sakura helps fight the Mogaki group and the villagers who are under Shiranami's control. Once Shiranami is stopped, Team 7 returns to Konoha. Pain's Assault. Sakura is present when Naruto is informed that Jiraiya died while investigating the leader of Akatsuki, Pain. She defends Tsunade while Naruto blames her for his death, and then again when Shikamaru tries to get out of helping decipher one of the clues that Jiraiya left behind, aware that Tsunade is grieving over Jiraiya. Sakura later then tries to help Shikamaru decipher the clue, but is interrupted by the invasion of Pain. Sakura heads for the Konoha hospital, along the way saving a group of civilians from Pain's giant centipede. She assists with healing the injured once she gets to the hospital, doing as much as she can despite there being more people in need of care than medics available. When pain destroys Konoha, Sakura and the rest of the villagers are saved by Tsunade with the help of Katsuyu. Tsunade is exhausted by the effort, so Sakura looks after him while Naruto fights pain. During the battle, Sakura senses Naruto entering another version 2 form as a result of Pain's attack on Hinata Hyuga. She has Katsuyu relay a message to the villagers to retreat to a safe distance while she treats Hinata. Naruto ultimately defeats Pain, and when he returns to the village, Sakura punches him for taking such a risk, and then embraces him as thanks. Past Arc, the Locus of Konoha. Sakura and Shizune stay with Tsunade as the village starts to rebuild. In the anime, they give Tsunade's various visitors updates on her condition. 5 Kage Summit. Sakura informs Naruto that Tsunade is in a coma and that there's nothing that can be done to bring her out of it. While they talk, they are approached by Tazuna and Inari, who have come to help rebuild Konoha. They ask about Sasuke, which Naruto avoids going into detail about so as to spare them and Sakura a discussion about Sasuke's defection. After Tazuna and Inari leave, they receive news that Danzo Shimura has become the next Hokage, and that he has ordered Sasuke to be killed as a traitor. Naruto and Sakura approach Sai to ask how they can convince Danzo to change his mind, but Sai is unable to help. Omoi and Karui of Kumogakure overhear them talking about Sasuke, and they ask for information about Sasuke, wishing to kill him for his role in Akatsuki's capture of Killer Bee. This news upsets Sakura greatly to the point of tears, so Naruto leads Omoi and Karui away to spare her from further distress. In the anime, while watching over a comatose Tsunade, Shizune confirms that she heard about Sasuke working with Akatsuki, which once again left Sakura on the verge of tears and hoping that Tsunade would awaken soon so the situation with Sasuke could be resolved. Sai later informs Sakura of the abuse Naruto suffered at the hands of Omoi and Karui, as he was unwilling to sell out Sasuke. He also informs her that Naruto has gone to meet with the 4th Raikage to try and get a pardon for Sasuke's actions against Kumo. Sakura cannot understand why Naruto would do all this, so Sai explains how he believes that it is because he has feelings for Sakura, and that he is still trying to fulfill the promise he made to her after Sasuke left the village years ago, which devastated her. Sai adds that his commitment to that promise, and by extension Sakura, caused Naruto as much pain as Sasuke does. Shikamaru joins their conversation to inform them of the rest of the Konoha 11's decision to personally eliminate Sasuke, so he can't continue to implicate Konoha in his crimes, nor present the risk of a war. Sakura tearfully agrees with this and insists to be the one to inform Naruto. She also made the others swear not to say anything to Naruto before she can, seeing it as her responsibility, while secretly she decides to handle the entire matter herself. Sakura forms a team with Sai, Kiba Inuzuka, and Rock Lee and goes to the Land of Iron to search for Naruto. When they find him, Sakura attempts to tell him that she loves him, and that because of this he no longer needs to fulfill his promise regarding Sasuke, who she claims that she no longer has feelings for. However, this enrages Naruto, who rejects Sakura by telling her that he hates people who lie to themselves. Sakura then insists rather angrily that it's true, and that he should start worrying about himself rather than Sasuke. Naruto still doesn't believe her, and informs her that he wants to save Sasuke for his own reasons, not for Sakura. Upset, Sakura departs, but when they're far enough away, she instructs her team to start looking for Sasuke. Her team tells her it would have been better to simply tell Naruto the truth about Konoha 11's decision, and that she's underestimating him by not doing so, but Sakura adamantly said she couldn't do it. When Kiba finally locates Sasuke, Sakura has him give her precise directions to where he is. She then attempts to knock out the team with sleeping gas, but is initially stopped by Sai, who has guessed that she plans to personally kill Sasuke. When he attempts to detain them on Kakashi's instructions, Kiba and Lee engage Sai, giving Sakura a chance to use her sleeping gas. She proceeds to where Sasuke is and announces her desire to join with him, even if that means helping destroy Konoha. To prove her loyalty, Sasuke instructs Sakura to kill the badly injured Karin. Sakura approaches her, contemplating how best to strike Sasuke, but is alerted by Karin that Sasuke is attacking her from behind with Chidori. Kakashi arrives in time to stop him, and, aware of what Sakura was planning, volunteers to be the one to kill Sasuke so that she won't need to, especially when he holds himself responsible for not preventing the situation as his teacher. Sakura heals Karin's injury, and, in her unstable mental state, joins the battle. She starts attacking Sasuke from behind, but ultimately can't bring herself to harm him and cries at her own failure. Sensing her, Sasuke grabs her by the throat, takes her kunai, and prepares to kill her with it, but she's saved by Naruto. Sakura is shocked that she came close to being killed by Sasuke, and is further shocked as Sasuke confesses to killing Danzo, and plans to do the same to his former teammates and the village. After briefly fighting, Naruto and Sasuke talk and conclude that they're only suitable to fight each other, which they will do at some future date. Sakura is upset once again that her resolve isn't as strong as theirs, and decides to trust Naruto and Sasuke in fulfilling her dream of Team 7 having a happy ending. After Sasuke leaves with Tobi, Naruto passes out from the poison of her kunai, and a panicked Sakura gives him the antidote. Sakura then uses an antidote to wake Sai, Kiba, and Rock Lee up. After returning to the village, Naruto meets with the Konoha 11 as soon as they're back to tell him his decision, which Sakura defends when some of them accuse Naruto of being unrealistic, but is concerned about Naruto and Sasuke's promise to fight to the death. When Tsunade finally wakes from her coma, Sakura goes around the village sharing the good news. In the anime, Sakura is later informed of the upcoming war against Akatsuki from Tsunade, and Sakura, while uneasy at fighting against Sasuke, is given the task to keep a watchful eye on Naruto during the war. Power. In the anime, Team 7 is sent to investigate the attack on Tonika village. They encounter Kabuto Yakashi and are forced to fight his reincarnated forces while he escapes. They fight Kabuto and his forces several more times, during one of which Sakura is knocked out by the Nine-Tails Naruto clone, but Kabuto is ultimately driven off. Paradise life on a boat. In the anime, Tsunade sends Sakura, Ino, and Choji Akamichi to Benisu Island to pick medicinal herbs. Although the locals initially try interfering, Naruto is able to convince him to help instead. Fourth Shinobi World War, Confrontation. When the Fourth Shinobi World War begins, Sakura is added to the 3rd Division of the Allied Shinobi Forces. Before the army is mobilized for war with Akatsuki, Sakura heals Might Guy, whose exhaustion mystifies her. The 3rd Division is called to assist the Surprise Attack Division, and when they arrive, Sakura recognizes the reincarnated Haku and Zabuza Momochi amongst the Surprise Attack Division's attackers. When Zabuza asks her how Naruto is doing, Sakura replies that he's well. Zabuza and Haku are forced to attack the 3rd Division, so they take up defensive positions, having encountered them before. Sakura advises those near her to take a manji formation. When casualties start growing, Sakura heals the wounded. Sakura is eventually reassigned to the Logistical Support and Medical Division's compound to heal the wounded that are sent there. During the night, 3 medical-nin are killed despite major precautions they took to secure the location, placing everyone on high alert. Sakura is approached by Morio during this time, who she recognizes as someone she healed earlier. He gives her a love letter, but she turns him down and explains that she's in love with someone else. He wishes her luck with her beloved and then leaves, but Sakura is saddened when she thinks about Sasuke. Neji Hyuga visits her after Morio leaves to discuss the suspected killer. When, during the conversation, Neji proves unaware that Tonton is a pig, Sakura recognizes him as the imposter and attacks him. The disguise disappears, revealing a white Zetsu. From the Zetsu's comments and previous reports she's read about its abilities, Sakura is able to determine how its substitute technique works and alerts the Allied HQ. She and Shizune later perform an autopsy on the Zetsu's body and discover its wood-release capabilities. In the anime, during the following day, the medical division is attacked by several reincarnated shinobi and a scroll of dead allied forces is stolen. Sakura joins a team to go after them, and most of the reincarnated shinobi are sealed, but Hayate Gecko escapes with the scroll. She goes after him and fights him until Yugao Uzuki arrives to finish him off. Later, security at the medical division remains high, with nobody having an effective way of identifying disguised Zetsu. 2 Zetsu eventually bypass bodyguards assigned to Sakura, though she is saved by the arrival of Naruto, whose Nine-Tails Chakra mode allows him to find and eliminate all the Zetsu. 4th Shinobi World War, Climax. With the Zetsu army defeated, the allied shinobi forces are sent to assist Naruto in his fight with Tobi. Along the way, Sakura vows to be there to help Naruto. When they arrive, Sakura heals Kakashi and Might Guy and then joins in the allies' attack on the Ten-Tails. The attack fails and many die in the Ten-Tails counterattack, including Neji, which shocks and hurts Sakura. However, Naruto is able to give protective version 1-like cloaks to most of his allies in time. When Naruto is injured saving everyone from Tenpenchi, Sakura heals him and encourages the other allies not to give up hope, even in the face of the Ten-Tails' tailed beast ball. They're saved by the arrival of the reincarnated 4th Hokage. The 4th thanks Sakura for healing Naruto, his son, and asks if she's Naruto's girlfriend. When Naruto suggests this is true, Sakura headbutts him and tells him to focus on the situation. Naruto complains she just gave him more injuries, and she retorts she will heal him again. Sasuke arrives shortly after the 4th, intent on joining the allies so he can protect Konoha. Sakura is surprised by Sasuke's sudden arrival and asks him of his intentions, and is dumbfounded, as with the rest of the Konoha 11, by his declaration that he will be Hokage. Naruto and Sasuke prepare to fight the Ten-Tails, and Sakura, as she says she's not weak and will assist them as a member of Team 7, joins them. The now reunited Team 7 charges into battle with the Ten-Tails' army of clones. After charging her strength of 100 seals, Sakura is able to defeat many at a time and boasts that she's finally caught up with her teammates. Because there are too many Ten-Tails clones, Team 7 each performs their own summons. Sakura summons Katsuyu and has it adhere to all the allies nearby so she can heal them remotely. While Naruto and Sasuke fight the Ten-Tails itself, Sai asks Sakura if she trusts Sasuke. Sakura says she's happy he's back and she does trust him. Sai believes her words are truthful, but knows her smile is fake. Birth of the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. When Tobi, real name Obito Uchiha, becomes the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, Sakura can only watch from a distance as Naruto, Sasuke, and the reincarnated Hokage fight him. Obito eventually recreates the God Tree, which absorbs the chakra of many of the allied shinobi forces. Sakura instructs Katsuyu to heal them, but Katsuyu explains that its divisions suffered the same fate as the shinobi they were attached to. To do what she can, Sakura runs over to Shikamaru and tries to start healing him. It is ultimately Naruto who saves Shikamaru and the others, remotely restoring the version 1 cloaks thought absorbed by the God Tree. Tsunade then arrives, congratulates Sakura for the work she's done, and requests her help in summoning in an even larger segment of Katsuyu. Katsuyu dissolves across the battlefield, allowing Tsunade and Sakura to constantly rejuvenate everyone as they unite against Obito. Although Obito is defeated, Madara Uchiha and another Zetsu still remain. The prolonged fighting exhausts Tsunade and leaves Sakura and Shizune with little chakra to spare. When Gaara brings Naruto to them, in need of emergency life support following the removal of the Nine Tails from his body, Sakura boards his desert suspension to lend whatever support she can. When her normal medical ninjutsu fails to do anything, Sakura makes an incision in Naruto's chest and manually pumps his heart to keep him alive, while pleading for him to live because he is so close to achieving his dream. Gaara brings them to the 4th Hokage so he can seal his half of the Nine Tails chakra into Naruto, but the chakra is intercepted by Black Zetsu. When Madara, the Ten Tails new Jinchuriki, arrives, Kakashi uses Kamui on Sakura and Naruto to get them to safety in Kamui's dimension. They are shortly afterwards joined by Obito, who has decided he wants to help Naruto. Though wary of Obito, Sakura allows him to seal the Nine Tails chakra he took from Black Zetsu into Naruto, thus saving his life. Naruto goes back to fight Madara when he regains consciousness, leaving Obito with Sakura. She calls Obito an enemy for killing many of her comrades, but she's willing to help him as thanks for saving Naruto. Obito asks Sakura to destroy his Rinnegan, explaining it's the only way to guarantee Madara doesn't use the infinite Tsukiyomi. Before she's able to do it, Madara arrives in Kamui's dimension and Obito sends Sakura away so Madara can't kill her. She explains what happened when she regroups with Team 7 and tries healing Kakashi after Madara stole his eye, but Naruto instead gives him a new one. As they wait for Madara's inevitable return, Sakura questions Sasuke about what he meant when he said he would become Hokage, but receives no answer because they have a war to worry about. Sensing Madara coming, Kakashi reminds them of their first lesson as Team 7, the importance of teamwork. When Madara is brought back by Black Zetsu using Obito's body, Sakura launches the first attack. She is stabbed with a truth-seeking ball and is saved by Naruto, who grabs her, and Sasuke, who cuts the rod Madara stabbed her with. Sakura is saddened because she thinks Sasuke is not concerned about her. Madara, now in possession of 2 Rinnegan, ascends into the sky and despite Naruto and Sasuke's attempt to stop him, casts the infinite Tsukiyomi. Kaguya Ōtsutsuki strikes. When the world around them falls to the infinite Tsukiyomi, Sasuke uses his Susanoo to shield Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi from its effects. Sakura asks what's happening, but is saddened when Sasuke tells her she doesn't need to know because she can't do anything about it. When they emerge, they find Madara has bound the world's population with God, nativity of a world in trees, and trapped them all within perpetual dreams. Madara confronts them and insists that he has ended all conflicts, and that only Team 7, as the only remaining opposition, would seek to renew the cycle of death that plagued the world for centuries. As he's talking, Madara is stabbed from behind by Black Zetsu, who transfers him from Obito's body to convert him into Kaguya Ōtsutsuki, Black Zetsu's true master. Kaguya, the origin of chakra, now has access to the chakra supplies of everyone trapped in the infinite Tsukiyomi. She wants Team 7's chakra as well, so she transports them to one of Kaguya's dimensions, a sea of lava. Kakashi grabs Sakura, ties himself to an unconscious Obito with a scroll, and pins Obito to a wall in order to save them. Sakura is sad as Sasuke explains to Naruto that he only saved Sakura and Kakashi earlier because they happened to be near Naruto, and he's willing to sacrifice his comrades if it means ensuring that he and Naruto will survive to save the world. However, Naruto retorts Sasuke still saved them subconsciously, and Sakura is thankful to Naruto for this. The heat causes the scroll to burn up, but Naruto sends a shadow clone to catch them. Because only Naruto and Sasuke can defeat Kaguya, they are forced to watch from a distance. Sakura is mortified when Naruto uses his sexy reverse harem technique on Kaguya, and then mortified again when it works. Kaguya eventually relocates them to her ice dimension and then banishes Sasuke to another, separating him from Naruto. When Obito regains consciousness and is caught up about what's been happening, he offers to help retrieve Sasuke and requests Sakura's help. Naruto's collaborative clone attack forces Kaguya to retreat to her desert dimension, where Obito secretly follows, taking Sakura and a Naruto clone along by syncing his Kamui to it. Kaguya, believing the clone to be the real one, and that he's alone, attacks it and manages to dispatch it before returning back to the ice dimension. The plan ends with Kaguya seeing an alive Naruto in the ice dimension. With Kaguya out of the way, Obito begins piercing through her various dimensions with Kamui, while Sakura heals the stress this causes to his body. They finally locate Sasuke, but Obito is unable to keep the portal long enough for Sasuke to run into it. Sakura collapses from exhaustion, but is caught by Sasuke, who explains he used Ame no Tejikara to switch places with Sakura's flak jacket, before thanking them. Obito teleports them back to the dimension where Naruto is and sacrifices himself to save Naruto from Kaguya. Despite his death, Obito's spirit is able to briefly return to allow Kakashi to use Susanoo, which he uses to save Sakura from one of Kaguya's attacks. When Kaguya creates an explosive truth-seeking ball to finally kill them all, Kakashi, realizing that this is their last opportunity, forms a plan of attack. Kakashi pierces through her. Naruto uses shadow clones to exhaust some of her countermeasures, and Kakashi uses Kamui on the rest. Sasuke moves closer to her in order to place a seal on her, and when Kaguya tries to escape, Sakura punches her. Kaguya is defeated, the tailed beast balls are removed from her body, and she is trapped alongside Black Zetsu with 6 Paths Shibaku Tensei. As Sakura and Naruto panic over how they're going to get back home, the Sage of 6 Paths summons them all back from Kaguya's dimensions and congratulates them for their victory. The Sage of 6 Paths explains how Naruto and Sasuke can end the Infinite Tsukiyomi, but Sasuke has plans before that, starting a revolution by killing the tailed beasts and 5 Kage, which he believes will change the world for the better. Sad and angry, Sakura pleads with him, acknowledging that there's literally nothing that she can do to change his mind, but asks if there's some part of him that cares about her and is willing to return to her. He once again tells her that she's still annoying before knocking her out with a genjutsu. Kakashi scolds Sasuke for this by saying Sakura's love for him is only hurting her heart. When she finally wakes up later that night, Kakashi tells her that Naruto and Sasuke have gone to have their last fight. They locate Naruto and Sasuke the following day at the Valley of the End, both having lost an arm and unable to move. As she heals them, Sasuke tries to speak to her, but she tells him not to so she can concentrate on healing them. Guilt-ridden, Sasuke apologizes to Sakura for everything he's done, and after exclaiming him with criticism, she tearfully accepts his apology and Team 7 comes back together for good, smiling and laughing. Blank period. After the war, Sasuke is pardoned for his crimes based on the good word of Naruto and Kakashi, who has been selected to become the 6th Hokage. Sasuke leaves Konoha to wander the world on a journey of redemption, and Sakura asks him to wait until his prosthetic arm is finished, but Sasuke declines. Sakura then offers to come with him. He again declines, explaining that his journey is one of atonement and that she has no part in that, leaving Sakura disappointed and gloomy. He then pokes her head, promising to see her again, and thanks her, and Sakura blushes at the realization that he is returning her feelings. Kakashi Hiden, lightning in the icy sky. A year after the end of the war, Sakura is part of a Konoha platoon sent to the Blood Prison in anticipation of an attempted jailbreak by the Ryuha Armament Alliance. When they get there, Sakura helps collect passengers ejected from the approaching Tobishachimaru, and then, after the Tobishachimaru crashes nearby, heals the survivors. Shikamaru Hiden, a cloud drifting in silent darkness. 2 years after the end of the war, Naruto talks to Sakura about Shikamaru Nara's recent cold behavior. She reminds him that Shikamaru is working hard in preparation for Naruto someday becoming Hokage, causing Naruto to wonder if he's worth whatever trouble Shikamaru is going through. When Shikamaru later goes missing in the Land of Silence, Naruto and Sakura join a combined Konoha and Suna coalition sent to rescue him. By the time they arrive, Temari is in combat with a brainwashed Sai. Sakura punches Sai away from Temari and then heals Temari's injury. After Shikamaru is saved and his mission is completed, Sakura is part of a force that stays behind to help the Land of Silence stabilize. The last, Naruto the movie. 2 years after the end of the war, Sakura notices Hinata Hyuga working on a scarf to give Naruto for the Rinne Festival. Sakura encourages her but warns her that Naruto may not have a real grasp of the love Hinata has for him. To that end, Sakura orchestrates some opportunities for Hinata and Naruto to spend time together, but due to Naruto's lack of understanding about love, none of them work. Shortly afterwards, Hinata's sister Hanabi Hyuga is kidnapped by Toneri Ōtsutsuki, and they are assigned to a team sent to rescue her. They follow Toneri's trail to a cave, and when they enter it, they are trapped by a genjutsu. In the movie's novelization, Sakura quickly identifies her dreams of Sasuke as just that, forces herself awake, and wakes up the rest of the team. At the end of the cave, they find the Gatekeeper, the creator of the genjutsu, which Sakura, Shikamaru, and Sai join forces to destroy. When they exit the cave, they find themselves in the middle of a vast landscape. What they later learn is the interior of the moon. While resting after a day of exploring the nearby ruins, Hinata voluntarily joins with Toneri, and Naruto is badly injured by Toneri while trying to stop her. Sakura spends 3 days of around-the-clock care to heal him, during which time Naruto talks in his sleep indicates to Sakura that he now shares Hinata's feelings. When he wakes up, Naruto visits Sakura as she recovers from her exhaustion, thanks her, and expresses his fears that Hinata fell in love with Toneri. Sakura reassures him that Hinata's feelings for him are too strong to change so suddenly, and that she must have had some reason for going with Toneri. She further says she believes Naruto's crush on her was due to his desire to defeat Sasuke, whom she loves. When Sakura is ready, they storm Toneri's castle. Sai and Sakura go looking for Hanabi, while Naruto and Shikamaru go looking for Hinata. While rescuing Hanabi, Sakura finds the tattered remains of the scarf Hinata made for Naruto, which she gives him when they regroup. Toneri is defeated, Naruto and Hinata express their feelings for each other, and the team returns to Konoha. Sakura Hiden, thoughts of love riding upon a spring breeze. After the Fourth Shinobi World War ended, Sakura assisted with healing those injured and displaced by the conflict. Although the adults recovered quickly and were put at peace by the end of hostilities, children struggled to recover from the stress of the war and the deaths of those they knew. In order to help them with this, Sakura and Ino Yamanaka opened a clinic within the Konoha hospital that would assess and treat children's mental health. The program proves very successful, in part because Sakura works tirelessly to make it so, a dedication that worries her friends. 2 years after the war ends, Sakura and Ino travel to Sunagakure to help the village lay the groundwork for its own mental health clinic. Along the way, Ino tells her about the romantic relationships that their peers, Ino included, are getting involved in, causing Sakura to wonder about her long-distance relationship with Sasuke. In Suna, Sakura and Ino are called before Gaara, who informs them of a man matching Sasuke's appearance and chakra signature that is evidently planning to destroy Konoha. They insist it has to be someone disguised as Sasuke, but can come up with no practical explanation for the man having Sasuke's chakra signature. Hoping to keep Sasuke's apparent plans a secret, Gaara asks Sakura to personally inform Kakashi of the plot against Konoha. Sakura and Ino do so as soon as they return to Konoha, and Kakashi shares their belief that it is an imposter. When, several days later, rumors of this imposter's actions start to spread, Kakashi sends a message to Sasuke to ask if he knows anything about it, though Sasuke doesn't reply. Sakura becomes concerned about this and confides in Naruto, who hypothesizes that Sasuke finds the rumors too ludicrous to give them any attention. Naruto's words put Sakura at ease. She meets with Tsunade to discuss possible ways of mimicking another person's chakra signature, and comes up with a theory of somebody extracting Sasuke's chakra from his skin and hair samples that have been gathered in large amounts. Sakura runs into Sai afterwards, and she tells him her theory, which, based on information he came across during his own unrelated investigation into Kido Sumiki, believes to be true. Because they are all evidently working on the same case, Kakashi makes a team. Ino dubs them Ino Sakusai. While returning from interviews regarding Kido and his personal Anbu, Sakura comes across what is apparently Sasuke being arrested. She realizes after she approaches that it's a genjutsu, but is injected with a drug that renders her unconscious before she can get away. Sakura wakes up to find herself bound and imprisoned. She tries to break out, but the drug she was injected with hinders her strength and chakra. Kido comes to visit her soon afterwards, explaining that he wants to draw Sasuke out with news of her kidnapping due to their romantic relationship. Once he's captured Sasuke, he'll kill Sakura to strengthen Sasuke's Sharingan, in turn making Kido's planned synthetic Sharingan more effective. Sakura keeps Kido engaged in the conversation while she gathers enough chakra to break free. Having finally seen the Sasuke imposter, she tells Kido of its many minor flaws that make it inferior to the original. When she's ready, Sakura breaks out of the basement, through the floors above, and finally onto the roof with a single cherry blossom impact. Outside, she meets Sai and Ino and teams up with them against Kido and his men. Sakura is drawn into a fight with the Sasuke imposter, who chokes her using one of Kido's synthetic-tailed beast cloaks. Sakura breaks free, and as she beats him unconscious, warns him to never impersonate Sasuke again. She regroups with her teammates and decides to find the rest of Kido's henchmen, but find them defeated by fire and genjutsu, and they realize that this is Sasuke's doing, and he had just disappeared. Although saddened he didn't at least say hello, Sakura is happy that Sasuke does care about her enough to rush back to the village to save her. After turning Kido over to Ibiki for interrogation, Sakura resumes her duties and decides to wait for Sasuke's return, which she believes is imminent so she can talk to him. The final page implies that Sasuke returned to the village to be with Sakura, as he says, "I'm home, Sakura." Konoha Hiden, the perfect day for a wedding. While looking for a present to give Naruto and Hinata for their wedding, Sakura finds a picture frame she thinks would be perfect. Ino finds the exact same picture frame at the exact same moment, and their fight over who will buy it causes both of them to be expelled from the store, neither of them able to purchase the picture frame. Ino blames Sakura for what's happened, insisting Sakura's unnatural strength and large forehead make her uncouth and, more particularly, unlikely to ever be married. Sakura is deeply insulted by the accusation and challenges Ino to a cooking competition to prove that she would make a good wife. Sakura and Ino make their own soldier pills. Sakura puts pudding, Ino's favorite dessert, into hers so that Ino will have no choice but to approve of her recipe. When she meets Ino the next day, however, she finds that Ino wants to use Choji Akimichi as an impartial judge. Choji samples each of their soldier pills and finds them so delicious that he starts putting them into his mouth by the handful. He soon collapses to the ground with blood running from his nose. Both suspect that the other poisoned their soldier pills, so they sample them in order to identify the poison and thus save Choji. Neither can taste poison, but they do taste their favorite desserts. Ino loves the pudding in Sakura's, and Sakura loves the anmitsu in Ino's. Choji gets up soon afterwards, having recovered from his blood sugar overload, and he praises both of their soldier pills. Sakura and Ino reflect on their like-mindedness and how their competitions always push each other to be better. They therefore decide to go shopping together, helping each other find a better gift than the picture frame. Sakura later attends Naruto and Hinata's wedding by herself, but thinks about Sasuke traveling elsewhere. Sasuke Shinden, Book of Sunrise. Sakura is summoned into Kakashi's office along with Naruto and Sai, about the disappearances of Kumo and Kiri Shinobi. Sakura informs Kakashi that she had been doing some research on her own and she discovered several Konoha Shinobi have disappeared, including a family friend of Ino's. When Kakashi tells them that Sasuke is investigating the disappearances, Sakura reacts with anxiety at the mention of his name due to her being frustrated towards their long-distance relationship. Konoha is attacked, and Sakura and the others discover the attackers are the missing shinobi who are under a genjutsu. The ringleader of the assault is Ino's family friend, Itachi. Sakura helps Naruto, Sai, Hinata, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji deduce that the shinobi will explode upon being injured, so they come up with a new strategy. Shikamaru uses his shadow imitation technique, and Hinata uses her gentle fist to render them motionless. Ino tries to use her mind-body switch technique on Taidachi, but falls under a genjutsu trap. Aoba saves her, but both pass out. Sakura heals them, as well as the rest of those injured in the attack. When Sakura learns Sasuke captured the ones responsible for the event and helped change their ways to repent, Sakura, although being tired of waiting for Sasuke to come home, is proud of him for how much he's accomplished to redeem himself. Sakura is mentioned in a letter written by Naruto and given to Sasuke while he's on his journey. In it, Sakura compares his current duties of protecting the village from the shadows to that of his childhood dream of joining the Konoha military police force. It is Sakura's words in the letter that compels Sasuke to decide to return to Konoha and be with her. The end of the novel strongly implies that they reunited sometime afterwards, as Sakura says, "Welcome home, Sasuke." New era. When Sakura and Sasuke begin dating, they had their first date overlooking the ocean, though it only lasted for 2.5 minutes. 4 years after the war, Sakura, now pregnant, accompanied her husband Sasuke on his traveling, as she refused to leave his side. When she went into labor, Sasuke brought her to one of Orochimaru's hideouts and had Korean help with the delivery. Sakura gave birth to their daughter, Sarada, and returned to Konoha with her family. Afterwards, Sakura and Sasuke raised their daughter together for some time, but he left the village on a mission to investigate Kaguya, leaving their daughter with few memories of him. When Sarada asked about Sasuke, Sakura assured him that he loved Sarada. Promising that he'd come home after completing his mission, Sakura poked her forehead. Eventually, she became director of the medical clinic and its top healer. She also began giving separate lessons to Genin in medical ninjutsu. At the time Naruto became Hokage, Sakura watched his inauguration with Sarada. Later, Sakura attended a 5 Kage summit with her husband, who informed the Kage about uncovering evidence of Kaguya forming a new White Zetsu army in order to face some greater threat. Agreeing to keep this information secret and wanting to safeguard the future for their daughter and the new generation, Sasuke continues his wanderings as he tries to find more information using his Rinnegan to inspect other dimensions. Academy Entrance Arc. In the anime, as the village began getting constant attacks from an unknown culprit, Sakura treated a Konoha purification plant worker who had his chakra drained in the Konoha hospital. When the culprit behind the attacks was revealed to be Sumire Kake, a unit was deployed to apprehend her. The rogue student unleashed Nue onto the village. While Kakashi organized the unit to defend from its attack, Sakura worked with a unit to treat the injured. Sarada Uchiha Arc. In the anime, Sakura is about to go on a trip with Ino, but as Sakura begins to leave, she realizes that a patient's teddy bear, which she brought home with her so she could sew it, has not been picked up yet. Sakura promised to return the bear that day, but Sarada promises that she will do it for her. Later, Sakura and Ino go to the seaside cliff where Sakura and Sasuke went on their first date. Ino asks Sakura if Sasuke contacted her. Sakura says no, wondering what Sasuke is doing at the moment. Later that night, Sakura arrives home and asks Sarada if she returned the teddy bear, with Sarada commenting it was easy. Sarada asks Sakura how her trip was, and Sakura calls it wonderful. As Sarada's graduation from the academy approaches, Sarada starts asking Sakura about Sasuke with greater earnest. Sakura struggles to answer questions about Sasuke's childhood in order to hide his past from Sarada, leading Sarada to question if Sasuke and Sakura are even married. This upsets Sakura and she punches the ground, which then inadvertently destroys their house. Sakura faints from the realization of what she's done. She later wakes up to find herself in the care of Shizune, who informs her that Sarada has left the village to look for Sasuke, and also tells her about Sarada's doubts on her parentage. After chuckling at her daughter's recklessness, Sakura goes after her. Sakura arrives in time to save her family from Shin Uchiha, rupturing his organs in the process. Sakura apologizes to Sarada for not being more open with her, but Sasuke insists that he's to blame. A creature then teleports her and the two Shins to his hideout. There, Shin holds her hostage and asks her to transplant the organs from his injured son into him, which she refuses. While Shin is performing the surgery himself, Sakura is disgusted about his philosophy regarding his clones, and declares that he has no idea what it's like to be a real parent. When the surgery is completed, Sakura reveals that she was pretending to be a helpless hostage to get information on Shin for Sasuke, and she begins fighting him. When Sasuke arrives, he saves Sakura and pulls some scalpels out of her, and she thanks him. After the clones stab Shin, Sakura stands in front of Sarada as they prepare to attack, but Sarada launches herself towards them and subdues them with her strength. With the fighting done, Sakura hugs Sarada and expresses relief that she is alright, before confirming that they are biologically related. Sasuke accompanies them back to Konoha and spends some time with Sakura and Sarada, even posing for a family photo that their home had been missing. Sakura and Sarada see him off as he leaves Konoha again. When Sarada becomes sad, Sasuke hugs her and pokes her forehead, promising to return as Sakura looks on with a smile. Sakura then gives him a prepared lunch and hopes for a kiss in return, but he departs without further comment while smirking, depressing Sakura as she waves goodbye. Naruto Shinden, Parent and Child Day. During the new Konohagakure holiday, Parent and Child Day, Sakura had to spend much of her time at the hospital. Later that day, she found to her shock that Sasuke had returned to the village. He discussed with her his problem in connecting with Sarada. Sakura noted that having spent much of Sarada's life away and only hearing stories about Sasuke and his various exploits, Sarada had probably become disillusioned at who Sasuke was as a person, and his attempts at being a doting father seemed lame. Ultimately, Sakura suggested that he should approach Sarada more like Sasuke's relationship was with his father and brother back in the day, just enjoying the time they have together and talk about their goals. Later that night, the Uchiha family enjoyed a hearty meal together. Graduation Exams Arc. In the anime, Sakura noticed Sarada's lack of excitement over going camping, and her complaints about Boruto reminded her of her own complaints about Naruto during their academy days. When Sarada's class began preparing for the Genin exams, Sakura joined her daughter to discuss her progress and future goals with Shino. Versus Momoshiki Arc. Several months later, when Sarada leaves to train for the upcoming Chūnin exams, Sakura sees her off. Before she goes, Sarada notes that Sakura must be happy since Sasuke has come back to Konoha, to which Sakura replies that Sarada must be the happiest. Later, during the exam's final matches, Sakura watches with Temari and Ino, cheering loudly when Sarada wins her first match. The finals are interrupted by an attack from Kinshiki and Momoshiki Ōtsutsuki, who proceed to destroy the stadium. Sakura punches the falling debris above her, causing a shockwave strong enough to destroy it to protect herself and the other spectators. After Kinshiki and Momoshiki kidnap Naruto, Sakura heals Hinata, who is badly injured in her failed attempt to save him. When Boruto prepares to join Sasuke in rescuing Naruto, Sakura carries Hinata to him so she can reason with him. However, seeing Boruto reminds Hinata, like Sakura, of a young Naruto, so she allows him to go. Naruto is successfully rescued, and life returns to normal when he gets back to Konoha. As Sarada and her team leave for a mission, Sakura watches them with Sasuke. Mitsuki's Disappearance Arc. In the anime, when Mitsuki seemingly betrayed the village by attacking two gate guards, the village was put on lockdown. Sakura was in charge of treating the injured men. As one of them began to recover and show signs of regaining consciousness, Sakura gave the report to Yurito to be delivered to the Hokage. Meanwhile, Boruto and Sarada left the village without authorization to find Mitsuki. When Hinata was worried about the consequences of their children's actions, Sakura insisted that they knew what their actions could lead to, but still had faith that it would be okay. Later, Sarada joined Boruto in retrieving Mitsuki, who had apparently betrayed the village. When the Genin returned, an angry but relieved Sakura hugged her daughter as a welcome. Time Slip Arc. After Sasuke helped in delivering Shukaku safely back to the village, he was given some downtime. While Sakura was happy to have her husband back, she was dismayed by how little time he had spent at home. Regardless, she decided to make his favorite dinner to welcome him home. Meanwhile, Sasuke and Boruto were sent back in time to shortly after Sasuke's defection. Past Sakura bumped into the two. Fearing changing the future from interacting with his future wife, Sasuke decided to keep his distance. Sakura noted how similar Naruto and Boruto were, which the two bluntly denied. Later, Sakura joined her friends in helping Boruto and Naruto clean up a bathhouse to make up for the commotion that Naruto and Jiraiya caused there. Days later, as Sakura was returning home for another grueling session of training with Tsunade, she bumped into adult Sasuke. He quickly apologized and rushed off, dropping a piece of paper in the process, a letter from Sarada. Sakura looked at the contents. While it was revealed to be a letter with the message smeared too much to read, Sakura made out Sasuke's name written on it. Suspecting that Boruto knew something about Sasuke, she decided to confront him about it. Boruto, nervous about being found out, simply said he knew a different Sasuke than the one she knew. While seeing that he was hiding something, Sakura decided to drop the subject with Boruto, instead finding the stranger's teacher to ask him directly. She later found the mysterious man battling an unknown assailant alongside Boruto and Jiraiya, who was after Naruto. When Sasuke's efforts proved futile thanks to his continued fatigue and the foe's strange abilities, he tackled the man into the river with him. While the man emerged unharmed but fuming at Sasuke's interference, Sakura fished Sasuke out of the river and hid him while using her new medical ninjutsu to treat him. Eventually Sasuke awoke, accidentally addressing her by name. As she began to ask him questions, her efforts to heal Sasuke overtaxed her and she fainted. Sasuke gently laid her down before going to help his allies. Days later, after Urashiki was defeated and Sasuke and the others were discharged from the hospital, Sasuke and Boruto were ready to leave. Before they could, they were approached by Sakura again, still determined to learn the stranger's connection to Sasuke. As Sasuke fumbled to find an excuse, Jiraiya chimed in, giving an elaborate story about how they were avid fans of him and wanted to train under him, hence the injuries. Sakura ultimately accepted the story, finding the travelers strange. Before leaving, Sasuke used his Sharingan to erase Sakura's memories, along with everybody else in the past, of the recent events to protect their timeline. After Sasuke and Boruto returned to the present, Sasuke found his wife sleeping at the table waiting for him. After she awoke and greeted him, she decided to make him some food, to which Sasuke warmly thanked her. Kara Actuation Arc. In the anime, when Team 7 was defeated by Deepa, the Genin were brought back to the village for emergency care. As Sakura worked on Boruto, Shizune worked on Sarada. After a successful operation on both Genin, Sakura voiced her complaints for the mental impact of the defeat on them. 3 days later, Sarada and Boruto disappeared from their respective rooms in the hospital. Sakura, however, quickly deduced that the two would meet up with Konohamaru and Mugino, who were ready for a mission to investigate Kara. To her relief, however, the children merely wanted to voice their trust in the older ninja to handle the mission while they would stay behind and commit themselves to grow stronger with hard training. Later, as Sarada sought intense training from Sasuke, Sakura watched from afar with concern for her daughter. As she continued to observe the grueling conditions her daughter was going through, Sakura confronted her family. She voiced her concern that Sarada was pushing herself too hard after just recovering, and even more horrified to hear her talk about the Mangekyo Sharingan. While Sakura insisted that she couldn't push herself so recklessly, Sarada was furious to hear her mother baby her so, refusing to see why she wanted to get stronger, and stormed off. Alone with her husband, Sakura admitted that as a mother, she couldn't handle the thought of Sarada being injured again like she did. Likewise, she feared the path that Sarada could potentially walk if she were to acquire the Mangekyo Sharingan. Sasuke insisted that, as parents, they have to prepare Sarada as much as possible for the world, and that she is as strong as they were back then. Unable to fully accept Sasuke's view, Sakura was left depressed. Later that night, Ino and Hinata decided to take Sakura out on a girls' night to talk. But they insisted that as mothers themselves, they too feared for their children's well-being. But they have had to have faith that they were strong enough and could endure. Ino insisted that Sakura, as a child, had drive that pushed her forward, and Sarada inherited as much from Sakura as she did Sasuke. Ino's words managed to cheer up Sakura. The following day, Sakura decided to oversee Sarada's training personally. She insisted that just blindly facing the challenge wouldn't yield any results. She forced Sarada into a sparring match with her, quickly overwhelming her. She pointed out Sarada's biggest flaws. Sarada's chakra control was still underdeveloped, quickly burning through it in her various actions and unleashing it randomly when attacking. This affected both her combat performance and development of her Sharingan. Sarada's second problem was that her resolve was still too frail, fearing defeat. Determined to break past her limits, Sarada faced down Sakura again, using her Sharingan to mimic the movements and general timing of Sakura's attacks to reach a standstill. As Sakura criticized her recklessness, she was proud to see her inner strength was like Sakura's, deciding to put Sarada through the same grueling training Tsunade did to improve her chakra control. Kawaki Arc. While buying flowers at Yamanaka Flowers for Sasuke's imminent return, Ino disapproved the idea of a husband who was almost never home, to which Sakura responded that she only wanted him to return to the village safely despite feeling lonely at times. When Sarada came to ask Sakura about her forehead seal, she explained and revealed that it existed since the age of the Sage of Six Paths. She also revealed Sasuke was returning home when Ino suddenly trembled upon sensing a sinister chakra near Naruto, much to Sakura's shock. Sarada left the shop telling Sakura that she was going home. Later, when she was on her way back from the flower shop, she found an injured Sasuke who teleported behind her on the road, again shocking her. She took him to the hospital and proceeded to heal him, saving him from his critical injuries. After Sasuke and Naruto made a full recovery, Sarada and her team were treated as well, after making a daring rescue of Naruto. Sarada explained to her parents how during the battle against Boro, it was only thanks to a strange new evolution of Boruto's Kama that they were able to defeat him. She noted that Boruto not only sprouted a horn and manifested a Byakugan in his right eye with his massive increase in power, but was even acting differently. This concerned Sasuke, but Sakura told her daughter to rest. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from Miyamagi, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.